Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Secrets of Stau Trana. This is episode 3. Couple things really quick. If you look down in the description of the video, you can find links to some content by Savage Mojo. They are friends of the channel. You can find them at Savage Mojo on Twitter. They are launching a Kickstarter for their Suzerain setting any day now. And it's to update their Suzerain setting to Swait, so go check that out. And down in the links below, they are giving away some free commemorative content. So if you have interest in that, go follow those links. Follow them on Twitter, do all that. And then besides that, be sure and do all the YouTube things, since most of our shows are now YouTube only. So be sure and like, share, and subscribe. We are very close to 100 subscribers. Last I checked, we were at 83, I think. And if we get 100, we get a custom URL. So you can just go to youtube.com/DoRespite instead of youtube.com/ a bunch of random gobbledygook. So help us get to 100. If you haven't clicked subscribe, do so and share with a friend, because that's the best advertising. Then if you like what we do, be sure and head over to patreon.com/DoRespite, where you can help keep us making content. So with all that out of the way, let's say hi to our players. We are short a Sam today, but we do have a Frito. How are you, Frito? Except I need Sarah to turn her camera back off and on, because somehow you guys have swapped positions since I hit record. And back. Cool. Frida, how are you now that you're in the right
good.
place?
I'm good. I went for a bike ride after work and it was really nice.
Oh. I didn't do that.
Because I'm old and I don't run anymore.
That's fair. I'm old, but I didn't really run ever. Sarah, how are you now that you're in the right place?
Yay for being in the right place. I'm good.
Good.
Excited for tonight.
And Shawnee, how are you?
I'm good. I went for a walk with the dog, and it's our first 30-degree day for us this spring, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was nice. It's a nice day, and I'm wearing shorts and no blanket. Normally I've got a thick blanket. I feel great.
Okay. All right. Well, we are short of Sam, like we mentioned, but we will jump in and get rolling. Frito, for Benny, what did we do last week?
Some of us fought a kraken. Some of us missed all of our attacks. I did. I don't know that I don't remember anybody else, but I remembered that I missed everything. Our dear friend, whose name is somewhere on this page, Kenna, got some black kraken blood on her. She started turning into a Sahagin. And then we stopped it with magic and cut her leg off. We arrived at the Orcs Island. Slept in some hammocks. Had met a wonderful Loa speaker who then gave us some drink, and we had our vision again. But more. And I discovered that, yes, my best friend in the whole wide world is up to her nefarious deeds once again. Which, that'll be fun. I'm still hoping we don't actually meet, because I don't know what will happen. We discovered that Stau Trana's been doing some magical experiment stuff, which we'll talk about. Don't worry, you guys technically didn't hear it because I'm bad about relaying information. Our wonderful Loa speaker then said that his journey was complete, and we went to the frat house, not really, to deliver a notice that a new Loa speaker would be needed. I spent a considerable amount of my money that I have been hoarding for the last 8,000 years.
Roughly 3/4 of it.
A lot of it. To buy a
Also,
boat.
my money. Just saying, my money that you
You
took from
entrusted
me.
it to me.
Just
so
saying.
it's mine.
Just saying, my money.
Anyway, money was spent to buy a boat, and Kenna has offered to be our captain and to ferry us to the eastern end of the world. Or at least part of the way there. Because I don't remember if she said she was going to go all the way or not. And then we went to bed on the ship. And that's all that I remember.
Yep, you ended with the ship sailing off into the sunrise. Your peg-legged captain walking around giving orders. So we will open from that point, as it were. Audio apologies in advance. I don't have control over my mute button for some reason. It's not working. So just a note, if you hear background noise that I usually would filter out by having things muted, that's why. I don't know what's going on, but I can't fix it mid-record. So, you guys are aboard the ship, and you are making your journey. At some point during the course of the morning, Kenna will approach the four of you. You have essentially booked passage upon the vessel through, purchase of it and whatnot. So technically it's not booked passage because when it comes down to it, you lost a bunch of money, but you now own a ship. So that's an important possession to keep note of, is that a ship is owned of, orcish seafaring design. But you're now all being approached by Kenna. Olmthu has developed a very sad, given, his position in a very seafaring orc clan. He's developed a horrible bout of seasickness and is below. So he will probably get razzed relentlessly by his crew members. But that's fair. It will equal the razzing we give him for forgetting about episode. So it'll be all right. But the three of you have been approached by Kenna. And Kenna approaches and says, we need to have a talk in the captain's cabin about our destination and the state of the crew, essentially. And she makes her way to the cabin. And I mean, this is a ship of orcish design, so everything is very military and Spartan. You're not finding any of the overly insane luxuries. The captain's cabin is still a decent size. The orcs do sell occasionally their vessels, and then they get, renovated, refurbished to be more accommodating to, human crews or whatever. But since you purchased it in orcdom and it's crewed by orcs, you don't have any of those frivolities. But she takes a seat behind her. Very, just basic charts and stuff are on her desk table, and it's been bolted to the floor, and she looks out at you. A lot of these boys they're good men and they're willing to take you as far as the 6 Isles, but they're not going much beyond that. It's not a good season to be leaving. It's only because the purse was so good on the charter that they're even here at all. But a lot of them will be departing in the 6 Isles. And she kind of eyes you. I'm hoping you have some of that money left, since we're going to have to hire a new crew once we're there.
Yeah, we've still got some left.
All right.
I know that this is a, time for your kin to be going out and doing things. If they're leaving, would you also be leaving?
I'll man this ship until the year's past where I'm supposed to return home. So I have a year to prove that the curse is dealt with. So you're stuck with me for that long. You've paid me for that long, at least. If you want to get rid of me, that's fine, but you're not getting a refund.
Nor do I think we would get to where we're our destination.
Seems likely. Seems likely. Well, we're bound for Luhai, and we'll be there within a couple of weeks. 2 if the wind holds, closer to 3 if it doesn't. And she kind of looks around. I get the feeling that not many of you have been this far south before.
No. Nor on a ship either.
I mean, I don't even know how to swim.
That could prove to be a problem.
Let's hope not.
Sage has been this far.
Yeah, you've
because
been.
Sage went to.
Vampires.
Yeah. I have seen the world.
You've seen a chunk of it, Kenna says.
I have seen the world.
Well, we'll get you to Aluhai. We'll get us to Aluhai. We'll get a crew hired. Probably take on some cargo to offset a little bit of the cost of the voyage. And from there, it'll be a jaunt over to Veakaris. We'll need to pick up something that'll get us from Aluhai to Anora and pays well enough that we can fund the voyage from there to Chuashaya. So I just thought I'd let you know what the plan is. These waters are rough at this time of year. We're sailing an orcish vessel, so at the very least, pirates of my own kind will be less likely to attack us, though I can't promise they'll be 100% unlikely. But once they see an orcish crew, they won't press. But orcs aren't the only people who fare in these waters, so we'll need to be ready.
What do you do for fun on a ship?
Being on a ship is just generally fun.
But yes, but when you get used to the ship, then what? Hammocks are fun, but what else do you do?
You can fish some off the back of the boat. Read.
I will make a game. Read.
I definitely
don't-
suggest reading.
What do I read?
And she kind of glances at Belmir. I'm sure he's got several books in that trunk that we
Yes,
put
they're
aboard.
very dangerous.
Oh,
Knowledge can be dangerous sometimes,
Yes.
but knowledge is also power. At least that's what the lowest speakers say.
Don't give it to Belmir, though. That's a lot of power and a lot of danger.
I sense strange trust issues that I'm not going to
And
delve
a lot
into
of
here.
knowledge. Belmir knows everything, but that is scary.
He doesn't know how to swim.
You can't read that in a book because books get soaking wet and then they don't have the words anymore. I tried it.
Very well. Well, 2.5 weeks probably to Aluhai. If things get rough, we'll stop off in Akka instead, but we should be able to make it clear to Aluhai.
do you think we will find more of those creatures, the krakens?
Yes. The waters between here and the sovereignty, at least, are infested with them. The Krakens and the Sahaganal. But once we enter sovereign waters, we shouldn't run into those kind of problems. We'll deal a lot more with corsairs and pirates than beasts of the wild at that point. And she nods. Well, I have a ship to captain. And she looks at Belmir and kind of extends a hand, since she doesn't know if it was Sage's money or Flora's money. Belmir's the one who produced the purse. And says, I appreciate the opportunity. I was going to have to depart the island in a rowboat and try and make my way from there. So this is infinitely better than that.
Well, we're glad that we could save you from the curse.
Me too. And with that, she turns and exits the captain's cabin and leaves the three of you there. And this is the part where you can talk about things if you want to.
Do we know why the moon is going to fall?
I mean, I didn't see that in the dream.
The dream didn't show that part. It just showed it getting really close.
It's not falling. Maybe it's just coming closer to have a look. And then it will go.
I didn't see any eyes on the moon.
Maybe you didn't know to look for them. Next time we have a dream, look for eyes on the moon.
Okay, Sage, I will do that.
Thank you.
I don't know what they could be doing with the moon, but I do know that there were some legends and stories that I was able to find in my journeys that essentially the people of Trana are experimenting with magic, trying to test its limits and to see what can and can't be done. And they're experimenting and taking information learned from powerful creatures like dragons, which are apparently a thing. And considering we've seen the face of Sazgavoth and I heard her laugh, my guess would be that she's also playing a part in teaching them what magic can and can't do, or helping them push these boundaries.
And maybe they're not trying to call down the moon or the moon closer, because they're also calling down stars, which is probably what's causing the fires. Maybe they're trying to do something else, and that's a side effect. Or they're trying to call something else, and they don't realize yet that the moon is coming instead.
What sounds like moon and says, "Come here."
Is that how magic works?
Maybe.
I mean,
My
you
magic
two
works.
do it.
Mine works differently to Flora's magic.
Mine is a lot about the natural order of things. I don't think I could call the moon and the stars out of the sky.
I don't think I could either. I could try. Maybe I should try while we're traveling.
Flora definitely could not, as that would be hugely disruptive to the natural order of things, and the spirits of nature would be like, yeah, hard pass. Sage could, technically, assuming Sage can amass the power. But the thing about Sage and your study, as naive as Sage still is, you know that the amount of magical energy required to do something like this is ludicrous. Like, this is just... Like, even the most powerful archmages that you met in Veakaris wouldn't even know how to go about something like this.
I think I could do it, but I would need help. I would need maybe everyone that can do what I can do. And then maybe I could do it.
I'd rather not find out if you
Sounds-
can or can't, because all of this experimentation they did eventually destroyed their civilization, their empire, and eventually sunk their entire nation under the sea as the consequences.
That is bad. But I kind of want to know if I can do it now. Not the moon. But
I don't want to know if you can harness the power to destroy the world.
I want to see if you can stop the people harnessing that power trying to destroy the world.
well, the easy way to do it is just to kill them.
Okay. All of them? We don't know how many there are.
I mean, it's the way to stop people from doing things.
It's a possible last resort option.
I'm not saying I want to do it now, but if they do it and it could destroy an entire civilization, maybe it's better to just kill them.
Also, if they're that powerful, though, just killing them won't be that easy.
Hmm. That is true. Maybe if I plant a seed and I have the help of lots and lots of Terani, then I could do it.
You haven't found the mountain yet, though, have you?
No. Maybe it's on Stau Trana.
That does bring up a good point. Sage, what do people... How do they react to you? You're different, right? We know that you're Tirani, and we're used to seeing you. But were people afraid of you? Confused by a talking plant?
I'm not a talking plant.
I know, but other people don't know that.
Oh. What was the reception generally? How different from how Olmthu has?
So the older Sage has gotten, Sage has grown to look more humanoid and less overall plant. Like, in the same way that aging plants, weather beats down rough edges and things like that on aging plants. That has happened to Sage. She's less angularly bark-ish, and she looks more. But she's still very alien. Veakaris is a weird place as a thing, however. So, while Sage was unique, Sage also saw bipedal walking, like, leopard people. And Sage interacted with liontars, so individuals who are, they're centaurs essentially, but lions instead of horses. Like, people had never seen anything like Sage, but that didn't mean that people in Veakaris had a huge issue with it. Veakaris is very cosmopolitan, very exposed to magic and magic experiments and those kind of things. During the time before Sage went to Veakaris, so the time she spent up in Deverak, people were real confused as a thing. They were concerned, they were nervous. She got thrown out of a couple of places just because of fear. Just Deverak is a place that even now, even in the refreshed timeline, is still very dangerous. It's still very city-state nations banded together in leagues rather than, sovereignties and dominions and those kind of things. They're much more small community. And so she was greeted with a lot of superstition. Some places greeted her with quite a bit of fear because they'd never seen anything like Sage before. And so that was part of why I will wager, again, your character, your choice, but that's probably part of why Sage stayed in Veakaris, was she didn't get greeted with that at all. She was greeted, a lot more openly than anyone in Deverak had. Save for like the coastal cities where they have seen more strange stuff because of trade and things like that. But inland, especially in Deverak, she was an oddity at best and a monster at worst.
Not well outside of Veakaris. People are strange.
That's true. Many of my kin are strange, and there have been stories of people not really believing dwarves are a thing until we show up.
Really?
But
Less
they're
so now.
everywhere.
In the southern half of Debarak, absolutely. Dwarves are northern and somewhat xenophobic.
Yeah. What the voice
Why
in
do
the
you
sky said.
ask?
No. I just don't. I wasn't sure how you've been not necessarily treated, but received. Because you're the only one of your kind here.
Beakaris has a lot of people that are not like the people on Debarak.
Okay.
So
That-
Beakaris is good.
That is a world-building point that I don't think we've discussed. Debarak 8,000 years from now is primarily orcs and dwarves as a thing. Because humans were largely eliminated and elves were hunted to extinction for the most part. Debarak now is largely human because they haven't been eliminated. Orcs are vastly less populous because they and humans compete for the same social space, essentially. Whereas elves will always have that long-lived ancient knowledge, nature folk thing going on. And dwarves claimed the underground with gnomes, so nobody bugs them. But humans right now are way more predominant than they were in the future. Even in the future, as shallowly distant as Flora was. Humans' population in the first war was brought down to like 7% of what it had been. So all of you have had to adapt over the past 5 years, just the sheer quantity of humans that you've seen. And the knowledge that they're infants in comparison to everyone. And so they act like it.
They are the babies.
Yeah. Orcs don't have the same empirical presence. But their culture is ancient. Orcish culture is as ancient as elves. But they've always stayed tribal, whereas elves have expanded. But as was true 8,000 years in the future, elves venerate their elders, and they believe in those ancient knowledges, but you're not finding elvish politicians who are thousands of year old running things. One of the reasons for that being that similar to, tropey kind of elves leave at a certain age. They go and find a different place to be, and it's unknown largely where that is. It's simply just spoken of as a way. It doesn't even have really a title. They just speak of their sojourn and going away. But the knowledge still exists, unlike in 8,000 years hence, where the knowledge had been eliminated because the Kezarkai burned elvish civilization to the ground. So you've interacted with a lot more elves, you've interacted with exponentially more humans, you've interacted with way less dwarves and way less orcs, because dwarves have not been forced above ground, number one, so their xenophobia can still stay loud and strong. And orcs are still quite tribally based because they don't compete in the same space. Because in Emios, orcs can be pirates and orcs are raiders, but orcs do not share the D&D lust for blood and conquest that so many Dungeons and Dragons Orcish tribes share. They're a lot more honor-based. They're a lot more focused on their tribe and their culture and those kind of things. They have a lot more in that direction. So, sorry, a little bit of important world building as I realize, hey, we haven't discussed the actual species makeup of Emios in an 8,000-year-old past. But, important note. Okay. Anything else you want to discuss here in what is probably at this point like a joint owner's cabin, captain's cabin kind of thing? I imagine that it's being converted to be the owner's space over time. And that would just be the Orcish way, right? Like, Orcish captains tend to sleep with their crew because they're not any better or any worse in their minds. Anything else?
I don't think so. Belmir is going to take a minute to write in the book.
Okay, what do you write?
Belmer's going to write in the book actually on his own hand in hopes that Hope will know and understand that they are going on a journey to Trana and to try and work with the people there to get things okay. Sorry. I'm going to write in the book to basically communicate to Hope that we're going on a journey and we're going to be gone for a long time.
Okay. All right. So you begin to do your writing. Flora and Sage, what are you doing with the rest of your morning/afternoon?
Sage, do you want to learn how to fish?
Okay. What do you do with them?
Well, I was going to get with the cook and cook them.
Oh, okay. Yes, I will help you fish.
I don't know how. I was hoping one of the sailors would show us.
Oh. Maybe.
Be a useful thing to know in the future if we're hungry and there's water around.
A lot of the places around here have a lot of water, so there might be a lot of fish. Okay.
We could wander out of the owner's cabin and find a sailor who looks not busy.
Before we wander out, Sage would like... Oh. Oh. Hello?
Hang on just a second while I fix some stuff. Frito and Sarah, I need you to remove your cameras again. And then
I'm missing a light. I'm going to turn it on.
Frito, come back. And Sarah, come back. Alrighty. Now we are all back. Alright, so as you are wandering out of the captain's cabin, what was it that Sage wanted to do?
Look over Belmir's shoulder and see if she can read what he's writing.
Do you write in common or do you write in dwarf?
Dwarf.
Nope.
But that begs the question of whether or not my writing is being transcribed.
Nope. No.
Like it was before. Okay. Yeah, I think we had mentioned that before.
Yeah, no. Hope doesn't change anything. Sosgamoth did. But everything you've written is in Dwarven. As you, Sage and Flora, X'd out, leaving Belmare to his writing, you see a rather green, which is orcs are not green in Emios, but he is rather green, seasick looking, Olmthu stumble up from below decks, because that's been what we did with Olmthu, was he was seasick, which is really unfortunate when you're a member of the tribe you are. They are going to make fun of you ruthlessly.
Well, that's what I expected. Any long journey is always just sort of, yeah.
Okay, so he has stumbled up from below decks, is kind of blinking in the sunlight. Still looks kind of queasy and green around the gills, but he is not dead. We did not kill him.
Though you look like me.
Yeah,
Are you green?
I am
I
today.
didn't think you were green.
I have some green to me. I'm plant. Barky, yes, but also some green.
Yes. Although you have noticed that strangely you sort of shift colors based upon environment, sort of like Flora's tattoos do.
I had canon still that in summer I grow in spring I grow little flowers
Yeah.
in my
But
hair.
the time you've spent in Veyakaris, you have definitely acquired kind of a pinkish orange sunsetty sort of hue to a number of your more colorful bits as a thing. But
Summer sage.
we just gotta, in case we go and get token art commissioned, like has been discussed, we gotta know what people look like.
Yeah. We need this.
Okay, so
You are green. Are you Trani now?
Oh, no. Long distance travel like this does not always agree with me, and this is one of those times.
You look sick. Do you want me to set you on fire?
I realize, I think, what you mean. Though the other option earlier would have possibly been considered. But no, I just need to... It will pass once I have acclimated myself.
and as he says that, a pair of other orcs like douse him in the face with buckets of salt water.
Is that how you acclimate?
It's one way.
Here. Would you like some candied ginger? I bet it works better.
Well, I am willing to try.
Yep. It starts to work slowly. But I do like the idea that Olmthu, the sea orc, is seasick. Pleases me greatly as a thing. So much that I kind of would love if it were a hindrance. Overall. But it is up to you if you want to add it. Okay. So, your friends fill you in rather quickly to the fact that due to this being harvest time for the moneylenders, aka important pirating season, the orcs who are here besides Kenna have agreed to get you as far as Aluhai, which is the capital of the Six Isles. Assuming supplies hold out. If not, they'll take you to Akka, which is another one of the big port cities in the Six Isles. But then you guys have to hire another crew because they're boarding boats and coming home to make their fortune in pirate season. Whereas, however, Kenna has informed you all that the Council of Elders in the tribe has determined that she must stay away for a minimum of a year before she's allowed home, assuming the curse has not taken hold. So she did inform Belmir that when she divvied up money to buy the ship, that she took a year's worth of captain's salary out. And so you guys are stuck with her for at least a year. Or, her death or the boat sinks or something like that. Also, it became known that Belmir actually owns this ship. It is Belmir's, so it's a possession on Belmir's inventory sheet. So,
Sage owns a ship. That's what
The
I'm
voice in
hearing.
the sky said it's mine.
Sage owns a ship. Steal my money.
the ship is in Belmir's name because, again, the money came from Belmir and the orcs didn't know any better.
Awkwardly, Sage couldn't have written their name to argue that anyway, so that's fair. Still Sage's ship.
Okay. Well, Flora and Sage have gone off to locate an orc to teach them how to fish. So let's go ahead and make a survival roll or two, and let's just see how well you fish.
Ten.
2.
All right. Sage is terrible at fishing.
I think Sage gets bored, honestly.
That sounds likely.
Yeah.
But Florida's good. And once you've acquired some fish, the orc says, I have other duties I have to attend to. But well done. And he heads off. What are you doing with your fish?
I'm going to take them to the galley. Is
Okay.
that where they cook things?
It is called a galley, yes.
That is where I'm headed.
Okay. You make your way to the galley. There's no one here in said galley.
Hello?
Nope. No response.
She's gonna start looking around and pulling out pots and pans and seeing where everything's located.
Okay. Yep. You locate your pots and pans. And at some point, Kenna walks by and looks in. Oh, good. I see you found everything. We didn't hire a cook because we knew you were going to be here.
Okay, that'll give me something to do then.
Yes, maybe take Sage under your wing. She's up doing something, getting in the way. I've had at least 3 complaints thus far.
I can try, but She doesn't usually have the patience for cooking. She gets bored of it.
That's okay. My crew don't have the patience for Sage.
Can I say what Sage is doing?
Mm-hmm.
Sage, bored by the fact that they couldn't fish, has decided to try using one of their spells, and they have created the illusion of fish all over the deck.
All right, let's roll some dice here.
Yeah.
Spend some power points.
Oh no. Yep.
Roll some dice.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course she did.
Mm-hmm.
7.
Okay. You create some fish as a thing all over the deck. Now I need you to please make an opposed athletics roll as several crew members grab you. Because magic and an orcish ship aren't things that usually mix in terms of arcane magic.
Five, but I'm going to Benny it.
Good plan.
Didn't do any better. 5.
Okay. You needed to beat a 14.
Oh, there's
as
no
a
way.
thing. So, Olmthu, Flora, Belmere, you hear a commotion upon the deck. Because of course you do, because Sage is involved. And as you come out, you see that there are 4 young orcs. They all have a limb of Sage. And Kenna is nowhere present. But they are shouting in Orcish, Olmthu, in a way that you know is essentially they are threatening to throw Sage overboard for practicing devil magics aboard an Orcish voyage. Because orcs are not arcane spellcasters. Arcane magic is considered quite ungood by them. It's largely heretical and profane as a thing.
Put me down.
Also in Orcish, he's. What do you think you're doing?
And they turn and glare at you. Quiet, landlegs. She was practicing devil magic aboard our ship. She's going to bring demons from the sea. They'll be attracted to the profane power she exhibits.
Did you explain this to her?
We assumed that given that she is your friend, you would have done so.
Well, you may have noticed. I was a little indisposed.
Oh, we have noticed.
I'm very impressed. Now, if you could put her down, I will explain to her to restrain herself for the time being.
And they lower Sage down to the deck. Very well. And they march away, and Kenna comes up from under decks and steps up next to Olmthu. What was going on?
I forgot
didn't
to
like my
explain to
fish.
Sage how people might react to the arcane.
Oh, yes. Most of these children have never sailed with anyone who isn't an orc?
Yes.
Well, if you'll speak with Sage, I'll handle this problem.
Thank you.
And you see her, like, unsnap a snap on her belt, and, like, the bullwhip that she carries is in her hand as she moves toward the other side of the deck where the 4 youth have gone.
Sage, if you don't mind, maybe come with me. This could be unpleasant.
What?
Kenna needs to explain the delicacies of how you treat a guest. And I need to explain to you a couple of superstitious customs.
Okay.
And as you
Head back
escort,
down.
as you escort Sage below, and anybody who wants to go,
Floria's
With-
gonna follow.
you hear, just as that door closes, that just loud crack and a shout.
You may need to be more careful around these orcs. It is considered very arcane magic on a ship is viewed very poorly. It's viewed poorly in general, but on a ship in particular.
Why?
For world building purposes, it's believed that the Kraken and the Sahagan are attracted to it.
They think it will bring the Kraken and its followers, the Swagan.
Does it?
I don't know. But then I didn't know whether or not the Kraken blood turned you into a Swagan. So perhaps for the duration of this stretch of the journey, maybe we don't risk it.
Even if one of them gets hurt and they need me to burn them.
We don't risk it on a day-to-day basis, but in extreme circumstance, we can reassess.
But Gentry told me to practice.
I'm not saying to stop entirely. I'm just saying while we have this particular crew,
So for Sam's benefit, 2 to 3 weeks, since that's what we established was going to be the length of time.
Okay. What am I supposed to do for fun? Fishing is boring.
I can show you what we do with the fish next.
That is
Is
an
it more
interesting
interesting?
conversation, however. Given that you said Gentry has insisted I practice, Gentry also insisted magic was not for playing. So the statement of what do I do for fun after complaining, oh, Gentry will say, Gentry told me to practice. Just somewhere, Gentry is just like
Oh,
finding the birch switch that hangs somewhere in her.
Sage knows. Sage knows, but Gentry's not here. Gentry's a very,
No, but
very
Gentry has told you
convenient excuse
specifically
right now.
Gentry's always watching.
No. No. We're passing through Veakaris. That's a bad thing.
Just show up and you just see Gentry on the dock with a switch.
Sage runs.
A list of grievances.
Just torpedoes off the dock again, straight into the water.
Okay.
Oh, Thu, you've seen my magic. Are they going to have a problem with that?
Nope, hers is nature spirit stuff.
No, it is specifically arcane.
The twisting of the world to one's whim, which is what arcane magic is.
That doesn't seem very fair.
Yeah, to the world, it
It
seems super rude to twist it to your will. Gosh.
I just want to play Voice in the Sky.
Well, what else do you do for fun normally?
I dance.
There is space to dance.
Will they get mad with me?
No. Few of them might even make some music to accompany you. When they're not working on something else, of course.
Okay. I would like to ask the rest of the cast to leave my pockets of poop and sand alone. Stop your attacks. It's not required. Put them away.
I'm sorry, did you just, you know what?
I don't think anyone gives Sage access to poop on board the ship.
No. They don't.
So Sage can't play in poop. And Sage can't make snow, and Sage can't make sand, and so...
Sage is a tyranny, so Sage doesn't make poop.
No, but, you know, collecting poop. Voice in the Sky.
I know. That's why you have not been told where the latrine is.
But, oh, right. I don't need it. That sucks. I will find something else to do that is not magic. Can I climb the sails?
I would not recommend it as a rule. It would mean other people will need quick and easy access. Things can change suddenly. And if someone is on the sail, if someone is on the sails, they will not be able to respond as quickly as they need to.
Okay.
Sage, come with
Yes.
me. I'll show you how to cook fish. And then we can make some sorbet. I'll show you
Oh,
how.
I like that. Yes, let's do it. Are we making fish
Hopefully
sorbet?
not have fish.
Not together, no. That,
Okay.
I've tried that combination. I wouldn't recommend it.
Saltwater sorbet?
We could make a type of saltwater candy.
I like candy. Okay, let's do it. You look so concerned.
I'm so ill. At
I have
both-
insulted his food
Oh
sensibilities.
my goodness, at both of those. I also had to go look because my brain screams that sorbet requires juice of some sort.
No, it just lacks
Sure, we have oranges to fight off
cream,
scurvy.
doesn't it? doesn't it just lack in cream? I thought it was just not dairy based.
Yeah, it's sugar sweetened water.
Yeah.
You don't have enough sugar on board to sweeten your salt water, however. But as a thing, as you proceed to learn how to make fish and sorbet with a large gap in between those two things, Omthu and Belmir, as you resume what you're doing, you all hear a from the deck.
Is that the music for dancing?
And
Elmer's going to head to the top deck to see what's going on.
It blows in a very specific long, followed by 4 sharp staccato bursts, which Omthu is well aware is the sign for a kraken sighting.
No, that means someone has seen a kraken.
And as you come up on deck, you see that there are 4 orcs with large, splits in their back from being lashed for their misbehavior. And they are all shooting dagger glares at everyone, given that on some level, this means they were right.
How much time has passed? Is the fish cooked and the sorbet made?
No, this is like as you were going to make, like as you were leaving to go. Like it is, they probably have just finished being whipped. And so it's very fresh in their minds that A, it had happened, and B, what had caused it to happen. And now, lo and behold, the thing they were afraid of is on yon horizon.
But why, though? There must be a reason. I'm going to ask the kraken. Okay.
Something, correlation does not equal causation. We'll talk about it later.
Something, let's ask the kraken why it's drawn to this particular type of magic.
Seriously.
It's not Sage's fault.
All right. As you approach, Kenna comes down. Her whip is still in her hand, like she's only very recently finished with her lashes. And she said 5 each seemed like plenty. And then she glances up at the crow's nest where the horn has blown. She says, and now it may seem like it was too much.
Yes. Seems we are intent on proving superstitions.
I've ordered us to turn because, based on what's been shouted down, it's a big one. We don't want to engage it with children.
No.
Have you ever tried talking to it?
And she turns and she sort of looks at Sage and says, "You've healed me before, and I owe you my life for that. But there are some things that just aren't done."
Oh. We don't talk to krakens. Okay.
Kraken don't speak. And she kind of pinches like her nose just between her eyes. There's a small island to the south of here. We're going to make for that until it and whatever's with it passes. Hopefully it hasn't sighted us, and hopefully it's not actually attracted to Sage's magic. And she heads back off and...
Wait a minute.
Yes?
May I give the crew members that you disciplined some ointment? I realize that if I heal them magically, it will undermine your authority, but could I give them
tomorrow.
some ointment?
Tomorrow, yes.
Okay.
But today, they must bear the marks of their discipline.
All right.
And she nods and she smiles at Flora. Like, she definitely appreciates the offer. She's explaining tradition, essentially. And she heads back up to the helm. And we're going to roll some dice here. I'm going to let everybody roll. I'm going to roll for the Kraken. I'm going to let you guys roll for Kenna and her boating rolls. So that way, if you all die, it's not my fault as a thing. So Kenna has a D10 in boating. So you'll all be making rolls at a D10 with a wild die. And we are going to do 4 opposed rolls as a thing against the notice of the Kraken here. So we will start with Sage. You're going to give me your boating roll first for Kenna.
Nine.
Okay. It rolls an 8. So at least one of the times it does not pursue you. Belmere.
I'm gonna spend the recap Benny. I got a 6. Doesn't quite matter because I'm setting the target number for it to beat. No better. We're gonna stay with 6.
It rolls a 7. So it may have potentially noticed you. Flora.
I spent 1 Benny. I couldn't get higher than a 5.
And it rolls an 11. So it is sitting at a total of 2 successes now because it discounts the successes you got on boating. And Olmthu.
I'm also going to spend a Benny.
Okay.
Ooh, okay, better. 16.
All right. So that gets you 4 successes, which puts you 2 on the positive end. And it will only roll a 7. So it does get 1. So you end up 1 on the positive end. So narrating what's happened, essentially, you guys do turn south to make for this small, like, island K to hide. And for a time, it's very tense because the lookout is reporting that the Kraken's course seems to mirror yours. But then in the last section of time, it turns away. And you manage to escape into this secluded cove and moor the ship. Since they're here, groups of people make the decision that they're going to go ashore and see, if there's anything they can gather in terms of fruit or fresh water or anything like that. You are invited, anyone who wants to go with them, if you would like to. It is requested by the crew specifically that Sage not go by herself with them. Sage may not make a return trip if that happens. The crew
Sage doesn't plan on going with them, just leaving the ship.
Oh, Sage is very much instructed she has to go with the group. Like, once you're there, you can sort of do whatever. But Sage is not being given a longboat by herself, right?
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. No.
Please
that's
don't
not
tell
what I meant.
Sage that she can do whatever. That seems...
Sage is going to do whatever.
I don't need to tell Chantel Sage can do whatever. Chantel's going to have Sage do whatever.
Flora
That's
knows
just
Sage,
permission.
so she's gonna follow her.
Okay. Olmthu and Bilmere?
Also going.
The orcs. So he's going to follow as well.
Alrighty. So, you make it ashore with no incident. It is growing late in the day at this point. So, essentially there's been like, you're told we need to be back here by sunset. So you're mid-afternoon, you need to be back here by sunset. We need to be back on the ship by nightfall. As a thing, you land and 4 orcs go off in search of water and, you know, any kind of fresh foodstuffs that they can bring back. You find yourself on a large, secluded white sand beach. Palm trees and those kind of things. Very similar to like the environment behind Chantel right now. And what would you like to do while you're here?
Sage is going to take a couple pocketfuls of sand, and then dance, because dance land, and search around to see if, like, are there settlements, or is this just a small island?
It's just a small island.
Sage is going to dig, just because it's fun.
All right. Sage digs on the beach for a time period. What are the 3 non-children doing?
Flora's going to stay near Sage, but she's going to look for some sticks that are not longer than 2 feet long, and they're small in diameter and light-ish. And some vines.
Okay. Sure.
I'm sure it'll become relevant later.
I certainly hope so. Olmthu
Hey.
and Belmere.
Belmer's just going to find a place to sit because he's also not used to being on a boat, but not ill.
Oh yeah, you're super good with this whole real land beneath your feet thing right now.
Yeah. So he's just going to sit in the shade of a tree and just watch the ocean.
And Olmthu.
Umthu is probably quite similar, but he pulls out like a little notebook kind of thing. Starts to jot some things down.
Sage is interested. What's going on?
Sage is busy digging.
His head pops up. I smell words.
What are you doing?
Okay. Sage and Flora. As Sage is digging, at some point during the course of that time period, Sage gets pinched by a crab.
Ow! No, stop it.
And like as you lift up your hand, there's just this like blue crab like dangling from your finger.
Flick. Swish and flick.
Give me a athletics roll.
How hard is this crab holding?
It's pretty hard. You also
Crabs
just
have
said
armor piercing too.
you're flicking it off, so like we're seeing how far you flick it off.
Oh.
So
Oh.
you flick it, and it, flies and
That's the noise they make.
no, it doesn't really make any noise, but it does make kind of a as it hits into a palm tree and slides down into the sand, and does its sideways walk off away. As you resume your digging, Flora, give me a notice roll.
Five.
Okay. Sage is down in a hole. She's probably dug, I don't know, 3.5 feet down at this point. Just having a grand old time. And as you look, you see several more crabs all marching down the beach in the direction of your hole.
Flora's going to start wandering closer to the beach while she watches these crabs.
Okay. Yeah, there's probably 15, 20 crabs just skittering towards Sage's hole.
Sage,
What?
this looks interesting. There's a whole bunch of crabs up here. You should come see.
Don't let them near my fingers.
No, that probably wouldn't be a good idea.
No, it hurt.
Well, they're coming your direction.
And they're actually fanning out and surrounding Sage's hole.
I'm sorry, what?
Sage, I don't have a lot of experience with crabs, but the 3 weeks I was, waiting for you guys, I did go on the beach quite a few times. I've never seen them behave quite like that. I think you're surrounded.
I don't want this at all. I don't like it.
And as they all circle around, you just start to hear this tick, 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 tick.
Omtu!
And it is straight up synchronized. Like all of these crabs are on.
Very West Side Story.
When you're a crab, you're a... Anyway. This is absurd.
I look up at when I hear.
Oh yeah, and you hear through, and then you hear tick, 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 tick. And you just see these 20 crabs just surrounding this hole that Sage has dug, just clicking in unison.
That's something that it's like, no, you've angered the blah crab. This is bad. Or is it like, what? What?
Definitely a what?
Elmer is also
Yeah.
astonished and confused at what he is seeing.
Just start making my
Am
way
I
over,
allowed to
guess.
use magic now?
They don't...
It's like,
They aren't hurting you yet.
They look very menacing, and there are a lot of them.
Well,
And one of them did this to my finger.
She holds up
What
a
happened?
finger that's kind of very bruised and blue.
Oh. I can fix that in a minute. You
what
wanted to
happened?
talk
Sorry.
to a kraken. Maybe you could try talking to them.
Okay. You need to not do that. It's scary.
Belmir and Omthu, give me notice rolls.
Sage just standing on a giant.
Wait, who?
Belmir and Omthu.
Okay.
Flora's kind of like close-ish and
She's a little
probably
lost,
like
but yeah.
I'm
monitoring.
close-ish, and I have pulled out my fighting frying pan.
You've also noticed that there is one of these crabs that definitely looks like in worse shape than the other crabs as a thing. 5?
4.
4. The tide is coming in really quickly and 100% out of time with where it should be.
Do any of the crabs react as we get closer?
Nope. They're all just like fixed down on the hole.
Are they just like standing on the very edge of the hole, or are they sort of?
Yeah. They've formed like a fence of crab.
The crabs aren't that big, though.
They're like king crab size. Like they're big old crabs.
Yeah,
Like how big is a king crab?
like not insignificantly so. It's a solid piece of crab.
They have a leg span of 6 feet, so 1.8 meters. Yeah, these
I
are
dug
big
a
old
really
crabs.
solid hole. I'm proud.
They're
of
also expensive.
Well, no, so you're surrounded and there's like rings of crab essentially.
Oh,
Oh.
that's not good.
You are ringed in crab.
How how deep are the ranks of crab?
How deep
There's
is your
20 total crabs. She's dug a hole that was big enough for her to get down in. So probably like 4 or 5 feet wide and 3.5-ish feet deep. So they're probably 3 crabs deep.
3.5 feet deep? So she's just like,
Yeah, you're just poking up and there's just crabs.
Oh,
this is not a situation I wanted.
I think that's title of your autobiography. But anyway, well,
That's
Somebody
also
else
why you
knows
had to
that.
make the athletics check to, fling the crab across the...
Oh.
right,
I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, I was imagining like little baby crab.
Well, I mean, you flung like a young king crab, like a little
Oh,
king
goody.
crab. And now these are the big
Oh, and
king crabs that
It's
are mad.
called its friends.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Is
He went and got his homies.
He got his homies. I started a turf war.
Is it possible to sort of stand in such a way that Omthu could, like, I guess, be on the other side, but then like reach out, take out one of, get,
Oh, you're down. If
Inside
you try and
with
reach
just-
up over it, they're well within claw range. So you're definitely welcome to try if that's what you would like to do. But you are going to have to reach over a wall of crab.
sure.
Okay.
Here's
As
what
in,
I'm
sure
going
you're doing it?
to.
Oh, okay.
We're going to try to be very quick,
Okay.
but when I say go, I want you to reach up and grab my hand, and I'm going to pull you out of the hole and up and over the crabs.
Do they understand you?
I don't know.
Sue, are you sure this is a good idea?
Water is starting to slosh into Sage's hole at this point, by the way.
This
I
isn't
don't
good.
think this is a good idea. I think it's just better than the alternative.
Okay.
Are you ready, Sage?
Yes? No?
What would I be rolling for this? Just
Oh, you're
athletics
not.
or something?
They're just rolling to bite you.
Oh, in that case, fantastic.
So you reach over. Only 3 of them manage to like grab onto between you and Sage, onto your arm, onto Sage's leg, sort of thing. But 3 of you get It doesn't really inflict any damage per se. It's just incredibly painful and uncomfortable as a thing. Belmir, in your ocean watching, as you mentioned in chat, but not to our audience, in your ocean watching, there is a large, like, swelling chunk of ocean that's like, it's just this big wave that seems to have spawned out of nowhere and doesn't really belong there.
Although there are giant squid kraken things in this area, are there other beasts of the large variety, like even bigger crabs?
You know about, like, orcas and really big sharks, but crabs is king crabs are pretty big, right? They, 6 feet wide, weighing up to like 18, 25 pounds is a thing, but giant crab is not something that really registers.
Not that I'm aware of, but that does not mean it doesn't exist.
And so you
Sage.
haul Sage up, and you watch as all of them just kind of like turn in place and continue, so everybody's still staring at Sage and still clacking their fingers together. And they're starting, like, you notice the ranks start to fan out, and it looks like the 20 crabs are trying to still keep Sage in some kind of circle.
There's a real temptation to be like,
Sage,
I mean,
they're extremely focused on you. Why? What did you do?
I dug a hole and I did some dancing and I collected sand in my pockets.
What did you do with the crabs?
It bit me, so I threw it.
Which one?
That one.
You point at, like, the littlest of them that looks severely banged up, has, like, some shell cracks.
Do you really think that's a big crab coming, Belmir?
I mean, something's coming.
Do we run? Maybe we run.
I'm going to try something. And she
I'm going
pulls
to
out
run.
she pulls out a little biscuit, puts her frying pan back on wherever she keeps it. She gets
You
down.
hide the butter. Like,
She was thinking, like, there's some good eating on those crabs, but she thought maybe that wouldn't be a good thing to say at the moment. Gets out one of her little biscuits and crouches down, not too close, but somewhat near the littlest one, and starts to make it glow. Hey there, little fella. You look like it hurts a little bit. I don't think Sage meant to hurt you. Look, this will make it all better. Come
and
here
all
and
of
take
the
a little
little
nibble.
creepy crab eyes are just staring at Sage.
Come here. Come here. It'll make it all better. Come on. Belmir, you keep watching that big, because, I've been eaten by a giant frog before and I don't want to see what happens when you get attacked by a really big crab. Come here, little guy.
On some level, I feel like there's like, this is a story I need to hear. And so, especially since neither Belmir nor Sage they've heard about it, just never heard the story. It still hasn't quit locking eyes with Sage. And Belmir. Olmthu, are you watching the water or are you watching Sage? I imagine Sage is just like staring at crabs at the moment, given that she has 40
If they're
crab
moving-
eyes locked on her.
Sage is backing up. Just so that
Oh yeah, and they at this
doesn't
point
get
have ringed in
surrounded
Sage.
again. She doesn't
and they're
want that
just-
again. Oh
Yeah,
my
they're
God.
just moving to try and ring in Sage, and so the further
Yeah.
back they go, they're just staying and trying to broaden their formation.
Sage is just moving back continuously.
Yep.
yeah, sort of trying to stay near Sage, but also being like keeping an eye on the water being weird
Yep.
as well.
So you start to see that there's just like that churn, like a really, really rough storm-tossed sea. There's just churn that's hitting. It looks like foam whip in seawater because the protein from all the fish that washes off, and that's what lets it happen. But as you're watching, you see there are just a bunch of little crab, like smaller than the king crabs. I did not watch Chantel's face. That are just rolling on.
Tiny little surfboards.
But they're just sort of, and you notice they're just being washed by whatever this wave is. And then from out of this wave, as the water collapses and crashes, you see that there's this very, very large blue-shelled crab that stands about 8 feet tall and proportionally wide. And it just raises its claws and just clacks out the cymbal. And it's like a timpani drum. Like it's just this large, loud sound.
I just wanted to dance.
Belmere, look, you were correct.
Why is everything bigger than me?
Because you're small.
How close are we to the ship? I guess would be a better word.
Oh, to the ship? You can't get to you took a longboat to get to shore.
Well, then to the longboat.
Oh, you'd have to go through crab.
Sage, maybe you should say you're sorry.
I am sorry. I don't think it's working.
Yeah, the little guy isn't coming over here. We might have to go to plan B.
What is plan B?
I feel like Flora
Crab
produces a
cakes.
stick of butter.
Well, you see her put away that little biscuit that she was trying to coax the little crab with. She backs up a few steps. She pulls back out her fighting frying pan. She pulls out a different biscuit, which looks vaguely dog biscuit shaped. Makes it start to glow and then calls out, "Titus, help!"
Okay.
And she summons him in his bodyguard form. So instead of a 300-pound pig, he's like a 650-pound pig. Boar. He's a boar.
Okay.
He's bigger. I looked up boars. There have been a few that were 1,000 pounds. Just saying. One day she's going to ride into battle with her frying pan and yell, "Charge," maybe.
Okay. So Flora tosses this biscuit on the ground. It glows for a second, and then it bursts apart into crumbs of green light and then coalesces into this enormous boar. And
Is
you
the
just
boar
see...
looking at me too?
No, the boar, I would imagine, is locked on whatever Flora is looking at.
Okay.
Okay. I did not expect you to end up fighting.
I don't want to fight it. It's
Try not
scary.
to. Don't have to yet. We haven't attacked it yet. This is just
Hello.
a show of you can leave now or you can become dinner.
I mean, in D&D terms, that very much sounded like a, okay, roll for initiative moment.
I mean,
Big King.
what are you doing at this point? Flora has summoned Titus. What are the rest of you who are not Titus summoning doing with this round?
Please don't eat me.
Are we within shouting distance of the rest of the crew?
No, because they went inland to find food and water. You guys have hung out on
Yeah.
the beach.
I found the food and water. Come back now.
No. The food and water found you.
Oh no, not again.
But
Am I allowed to use magic?
Yes, I think this might be one of those situations where Though, if it does summon a kraken,
Maybe the kraken will eat them.
Then we're definitely gonna die.
Crabs all of a sudden cracking and bunch song and show up on the beach.
See out in the horizon.
we had a giant crab, so we summoned a kraken to eat the giant crab, and then
It
We're
ate
working on
us.
the next.
It just wanted to dig a hole.
There was an old lady who
working on the
swallowed a
next
fly.
step.
I don't know
Yeah,
why
pretty
she
much.
swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die.
Sage just wants to dig a hole.
I assume that Belmir is outside of the ring of
Yeah,
crabs
they're
because
they're making like Omthu's
Yeah.
in it only because Omthu is making an effort to stay there, but they're largely trying to exclude anyone who isn't Sage.
I'm gonna kind of stand off to the side. Try not to be the man in the middle between giant crab and sage crabs.
Yep. And that big crab has started to move forward. And you see that just like the tide is essentially following it as it moves forward.
If
Am
you
I
have
going to be
an
eaten
option,
by crabs?
not if we have anything to do with it. It's just going to be, well, difficult for at least a short while. If you have options to defend yourself that are not arcane magic, feel free to use those, and if you don't, well, we might just have to chance it.
And
I
the ring,
can just use my staff.
the ring sort of extends and the giant crab takes up position so that, the ring kind of goes out in this formation. It's right there just staring at Stage and clacking its pincers together.
Excuse me.
You can get my hammer out, but not-
Why? What? Wait, what?
And just this bellowing sound echoes forth from the crab.
Why what?
Why have you injured my son?
He bit me.
It is within his nature when one disturbs his home.
Within my nature to not want to be bit.
But is it within your nature to destroy homes of others?
Nobody told me I was doing that.
Did you bother to try to learn?
No.
As is the way with landwalkers.
Yes, I walk on the land.
Also, we were on the land.
We dwell within the sands.
Well, just tell me instead of biting me.
Not all of us have lived long enough to speak.
Oh. You are very young. Are you the mother?
No. I am the Crab King.
Oh. I see. And you have lots of babies.
Yes.
Why are all of the babies doing this?
They summoned me. We require
Okay.
penance for the damages.
What do you need?
You have broken my son's leg.
I can fix it.
I tried to fix it. He wasn't being very cooperative.
While summoning me, his attention could not be diverted.
Do you want me to fix it?
No. We must break your leg.
No. It's my leg.
It was his leg.
And
Well,
I
could
can
just
fix
his.
it.
having a really hard time because of Chantel's expressions. It's being very difficult to play serious grumpy crab king. Once your leg has been broken, both legs may be fixed, but you will not suffer the pain he has, which is the requirement for justice. And the clacking has like increased in tempo and noise level.
But I don't want a broken leg.
Neither did my son.
Oh, so do I have to? Is this another superstition?
Is it justice, though? It is equity of damage, yes. But justice. Surely it would be better to, instead of inflicting harm, you speak of learning, and they offer to make recompense. They could make more recompense. Try to repair not just the damage to your son, but the damage to his home. Try to find other ways that lead to understanding, lead to it, hopefully, at least with these people, not happening again. Try to build something rather than tear down equally.
You speak wisdom, Grey One. And he kind of reaches that massive claw back, and you just hear this kind of as he removes something from his massive crab shell and tosses it down in front of Sage. I will return, fill the hole, heal my son, and we will speak more of this. And he crab walks back into the ocean. As do a majority of the other crabs.
What did he just throw?
It looks like a barnacle, essentially. Just a very large one.
Will it fit in my pocket?
No.
Okay.
I think he has given you a shovel.
Oh, I don't need a shovel to dig a hole.
We're not digging, we're filling.
I don't need a shovel to fill a hole. Okay, I will
Sage,
use it.
take what's
Yes.
offered.
Okay. Sage
I
picks up
feel
the
like your
barnacle.
friends essentially inform you, like, over time, if you do this magically, it does not fulfill the requirements of the penance.
This entire time I've been imagining Sage is just like kind of dog style, like through their legs.
I was waiting for you to be like, manipulate elements, fill in the sand, and I'm like, the crabs come back very angry.
I mean, it passed my mind, and then I thought, probably not. Hey.
Also, I'm not sure it's in the scope of the
No.
spell.
Well, at one point I
Bar
was like,
work
can I
in
poot
reverse?
myself? No. Doesn't.
So you begin digging The young one approaches Flora and eyes Flora again, essentially expectantly awaiting the healing biscuit.
Flora puts away her fighting frying pan again and pulls out the little biscuit she tried to give him in the first place.
And just consumes it.
Do I need to roll to heal the crab?
You do.
Really don't.
Double ones, double ones, double.
Just
There
make
was a
the
time-
crab worse.
You just like explode.
Crab
this
Prince dies, and so does Sage.
Oh no.
Okay, no, we're leaving now. Go, 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 go.
Chantel, stop talking. You're jinxing me.
Be amazing. Crab Prince.
Yeah, the first roll was a 1 and a 2.
Crab Prince chokes
time,
and
though.
dies on the cracker.
This time I got a 10, though. I spent a penny. I figured it was worth it.
Okay. You heal the crab. You also watch as he gets like substantially bigger in the time period of eating it. And he
Sage buries the hole, fills the hole with the barnacle. Well, it's because the first thing that crossed my mind was bury the crab in the hole because that's where he wanted to be. But that seems like a really poor idea, so I won't do it.
Yep. As you finish filling the hole, it takes you the better space of an hour or so. The tide resurges once again, and the Crab King arrives. And he is holding a small, like, there's like another crab like sitting on him, and it's holding this small kind of sapphire gemstone. And it skitters down and holds it up to Sage.
Sage takes it.
Okay.
What is this?
The final part of your learning.
What is it? Looks at it.
And as you look, it's just this like clear blue, sapphire kind of stone, just ultra sea blue.
What does it do?
You shall eat it, and 1 week, 1 day out of every week, you shall spend as a crab.
Will I be a crab like you, or a crab like that crab, or a crab like that crab?
Like my son.
Your son now that he's a bit bigger, or your crab son when he was a little smaller?
Smaller.
Every week forever?
For 1 year. For 1 year,
Yeah.
you will spend. And he, sits there and thinks, and you can tell he hasn't quite finished his enchantment of the sapphire yet. And he turns, "What thinkest thou, Greyskin?" You stated that part of the recompense was to learn, so that these dangers may be avoided. Spending time in the form of that which she has harmed seems an appropriate way to learn to do so.
Is there a way for it to include knowledge of your culture, of your people?
Yes,
Experiencing it outside is one thing.
yes. We can imbue it with the history of the Krakatoa Empire.
Excuse me.
Yes, plant person.
Do I have to eat what crabs eat and be in water for that day?
You must live as a crab for a time period that the Grayskin and I will determine to be just.
Is it a day every week for however long? But what happens if we go back in time or we go forward in time? If we travel,
I'm sure we can make it so that the time is for you, your time.
The
your
magic will
Okay.
be
existence.
inside of you.
okay. Because if I go forward in time or back in time by another 8,000 years, that might be a problem. Because I would never ever finish it. Because it's 8,000 years.
You didn't know you could see a giant crab sigh.
You ever seen a giant crab do the blink meme?
Or the peacock.
Belmir is gently beating his head against a palm tree.
The giant claw going,
You just. I will make a deal with you, small one. You shall be
Yes.
imbued with the knowledge of the Krakatoan. In exchange, you will spend 24 hours of every week as a crab your size.
My size.
Yes.
I'm a pretty big person.
I mean, you're not like anything like as big as this guy, but
No. Oh no, this could be very bad because I'm not allowed to do magic.
this
I
magic
mean,
is
you
not
wouldn't
of
be
the
doing it.
whim-bending
What?
kind. This is the magic of the sea.
Okay.
Very
What
well.
happens to my seed? There is a seed right here, and I need to plant it and then make more terrani.
Nothing will happen. Save that those spawned from the seed shall too have the knowledge of the Krakatoan.
Okay. That sounds good. I will be a good foremother if they know a lot about a lot of other places and things. Thank you.
And the little crab, holds it up, and there's kind of this whisper of magic, and like the wind and the sea kind of swirls around Sage for a second, and then holds out this little, pill-sized gemstone. Okay. And where once there was a sage,
Oh, it starts today.
there is now a large crab thing. And it's not exactly what you expected. You definitely expected large crab. Sage is more like bipedal crab humanoid. Yep, definitely large crab claws on the end of forelimbs, but just 2 legs. Just looks like a crab person.
Still talk?
I mean, you haven't tried.
Hello, I am a crab now.
Yep. You can still talk.
I'm imagining this like
Do we understand?
You do. Yep.
I'm imagining he starts hearing like a podcast. It's like The History of the Krakatoa, Part 1 by Carl Sagan. It's like,
You're just like, ah, yes. This is very relaxing.
Just lie on deck.
But indeed. And the Crab King looks at all of you. This is wise, Grayskin.
Omthru holds out a hand, sort of like as a sort of handshake, sort of gesturing. We did not introduce ourselves before. My name is Omthu.
And it extends down that massive claw and very gently closes over your hand. Like it's not like crushing you, but it very gently closes over your hand and shakes up and down. And I am Klarn, God King of Krakatoa.
It has been good to meet you. Thank you.
We appreciate your wisdom. The Krakatoan Empire has not fared well in recent years. Perhaps with the soft shell, we will fare better as she spreads our information.
What do you need help with?
Not all crabs are just crabs. There are animals. And then there are the Krakatoan.
Well, with knowledge comes understanding. Hopefully, in time, we can spread that knowledge, spread the understanding, so that people will know.
Perhaps one day you may break the curse that has been laid upon us.
What curse? Is it like this one? Is this a curse?
You will learn more as the jewel of the sea fills you. I must return. Your friends are coming. And
Oh no.
you watch as the remainder of them, the crabs and the king, make their way back into the ocean. And Sage slowly fades back into being a Tirani again.
Oh, that's lucky. I was scared for a second that you were going to say, and all the crabs disappear back into the ocean, and just as the tide goes back to normal, everyone else arrives.
And there's just
I say those
Krakatoa and
four
Sage.
orcs that got disciplined are going to feel really good about themselves right now.
Okay.
There's a kind of like, when you mentioned the others, there's a moment I'm through, like, sort of briefly goes, when you got food, what did you catch? And was it a crab? And if it is, put it back. Put it back right now, wherever you found it, exactly where you found it.
Yes, crab is off the menu for the rest of this whole trip.
Don't eat me.
Until we can tell how to work out and tell them apart. We're maybe just going to not do that.
So, your friends arrive. They found fruit and water. Didn't appear with any kind of meat stuffs. And as the sun goes down, you make your way back to the ship. And you once more the lookout. You spend the night there in the key. And in the morning, the Kraken is no longer anywhere that the lookout can see it. And you resume your course to the sovereignty of the Six Isles and the capital of Aluhai. And as you awaken, Sage, you hear a voice in your head that it sounds like it's coming through a seashell. Like it has that definite just like kind of noise to it of the rumbling waves. And you just hear, I have consulted with my wife. As long as you spend some time each week, we will not impose the transformation upon you. You may make it at your will.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Sage Softshell.
Is that an insult?
It is your name now.
Oh. But my name is Sage Siriana. Which order does it go in?
That is for you to decide. Names and titles are like hats. You will accumulate them as you age.
I don't have any hats. I need a hat.
Perhaps. And with that, the voice fades away. And we will end the session on the of a Kraken sighting a few days hence. And we will see you all next week. So, thank you everybody for joining us in YouTube land for this episode's of Secret of Stau Trana. A little bit shorter of an episode, but we're going to shoot around the 2.5 hour mark generally. And then when we're at a good content wrapping place, we'll wrap. So, like tonight. I've been your host and storyteller, Eric Taylor. A couple of business reminders, and then we'll outro with the important people. Check the links down below in the description for Savage Mojo's stuff. They are friends of ours who also run Savage Worlds games and create Savage Worlds content. They specifically books and settings and stuff like that. Their Kickstarter for Suzerain will be available sometime this month, and to commemorate that big Kickstarter, they're giving away some free Savage Worlds content. So follow the links below to find all of that stuff. Follow them on Twitter. Remember, everything, a lot of my content, at least the stuff that I GM, is all just uploaded to YouTube now. So this game and Ley Lines of London, Ley Lines will be up on Wednesday mornings, and these games will be up as you're watching this now, Saturday afternoon-ish after Unlawful Disorder, which is still streamed on twitch.tv/DoRespite at 8 a.m. Eastern. So be sure and check them out. And like we said at the top of the show, we're really, really close to that 100 subscriber mark on YouTube, which will get us our custom URL. So if you have friends who like TTRPGs, or just friends who like really good stories, which I feel like we provide, share us with them and let them know so that we can get more people to see what we do and enjoy it. And if you like what we do, consider checking out our Patreon, patreon.com/DoRespite, where you can help keep us going and move us back into podcast land and those kind of things. Chantel, how is game? How is becoming a temporary Krakatoan once every week-ish?
Pretty good, you know. The King Crab King is the best. I'm happy. I refuse to be the herald of the Krakatoans, but at the same time, I don't refuse. Sage doesn't. Chantel does. Which is fine, because Sage has to, not Chantel.
That's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair.
You can find me on Twitter. You can find me here for everything, all the time. You can also find me at... Oh, I've moved all of Sage's mutterings over to my website at wordswithcolor.com, and you can also see me playing City of Mist at any _actors Twitch page
On Wednesday
site.
evenings.
Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Is it Wednesday? Tuesday evenings, 8 p.m.
Tuesday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern
Yes,
on
yes.
twitch.tv/NE_actor.
This is correct.
So
Thank you.
go check that out. Sam.
I feel like this episode really encapsulated one of the things I absolutely adore most about tabletop role playing, in that you can just it's just like, okay, we have to outrun the Kraken, let's just get some, stop, and then suddenly you're debating the philosophy of justice with a giant talking crab, and then your new friend gets to learn about this unknown culture by eating a gem. And it's just like, everyone's like, yeah, okay.
It'll be super interesting this time around in Emios' life for people to learn about the Krakatoan instead of exterminate them, like happened in the last continuity. So
Yeah, it's a little horrifying when it's like, yeah, some crabs are animals, and some crabs are sentient people from this empire of underwater crabs. Like, is there a clear distinction of which is which? Goodness, I hope so. But
What
also,
is this curse you say?
still look exactly like
those two things might be integrated.
Yeah.
Given how different Sage looks from a regular crab when she goes into Krakatoan form.
Yup.
Just saying.
Sage now has 2 side quests.
Yep. Become the foremother. Free the Krakatoa.
You actually look like it's like, yeah, you're just gonna look like my son. And it's like, this is what the son should look like right now. And it's like, oh no. Someone was very mean to this entire people.
Indeed.
But you can find me on Twitter at _RealSammyP, voice actor and performer. You can listen to the last thing I did over at the Penny Peep Show for the town called Prodigal. I also recommend you check out all the other shows they've done since, because a lot of the people from a town called Prodigal are very regular performers in their shows and are all fantastic. So you check all of them out. And I'm on all the other shows here as well, on Panic and Prowler. No, not Panic and Prowler. Ley Lines of London, because we're not going to go back to that we got away. We got away. It's fine now. Now the biggest problems is that Waylon forgot that he has to get married at some point and won't live for centuries.
Also, Egyptian death god in museum.
One of those is a lot more worrying to Wayland.
And it is.
Because he saw that look. He saw that look in Constance's eye, and he's just like, "Oh, this is okay."
Yep.
But also unlawful disorder.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was fantastic.
I'm glad everybody had fun. Flora, played by Sarah.
That's me. Did have fun. It's a good thing Flora's a little hesitant. Her first instinct used to be to try and talk to and make friends, but after almost getting eaten a lot, she was really seriously thinking it'd be better just to whip out that frying pan and smash some crabs.
Declare war on the Krakatoan Empire while you're on a ship.
But she didn't.
Yep, this story could have gone a whole lot of ways based on what you did. So, Frito.
I'm regretting going back in time because Sage is a monster. And we need to have a discussion about talking about time travel. Take it out of your vocabulary.
This is also arguably your first experience with the I'm sorry, what is randomly happening, because everything up until this point has been very, we're following the plot thread. You were in Oscus, you were doing that thing. And this is all of a sudden, okay, this is a random encounter with a strange crab. And I'm sorry, what did we spend the last hour doing exactly?
Debating and allowing Sage to become a herald of the Krakatoa. 2 party members down, 2 to go. What else heraldly do we got in the pipeline?
I got 3 heralded. Because you're the Herald of Hope, / you were the Herald of Sazgmoth, now you're the Herald of the Krakatoa. Florod's the Herald of Druidism and Nature, so you just gotta rope Omthu into being a herald of some kind.
And we can all retire in peace.
Just go find a purple crayon, Omthu. Then you can be Herald in the purple crayon, which is the best herald to be. It's my favorite children's book of all time, by the way. All right. Well, with all that out of the way, we'll get out of your hair. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Don't forget to like, share for sure. Get us to 100 subs. Subscribe. We'll see all of you next time around. And until then, I've been Eric Taylor, and on behalf of Chantel, Frito, Sam, and Sarah, good night, good luck, stay safe, stay healthy, love one another. Bye, everybody.